What up, YouTube? Back for another episode of.
Who's the master?
Oh, we didn't get the voice effect there. That's fine. You know
I
what?
was
That's
so
my
focused
bad.
on everything else.
Normally I pontificate for a lot longer. So Baba was probably expecting me to be long-winded as always, and wasn't ready.
Well, I should have had it up, but we had other things going on. That's why we were late.
Oh yeah, all sorts of technical guys. Being a YouTuber is not easy. Okay, like I'm having all sorts of hell trying to get mic setups here. So hopefully I sound good today.
Yeah, and see, like I've already there we go. Now I've got us on up there. I had us off of there for a second. Yeah, so sorry about that, guys.
Yeah. Sorry for being late. Looks like we got a viewer in. So yeah, we'll try to get back on our normal schedule that we built up. After this week, holidays threw things off. We got so thrown off we couldn't even finish our last video. We had to take over. This is actually the first time we're doing a sequel of a video, Bobo.
Yep, it is. Well, at least the first time you and me. I've done a couple of sequels just because, like Andrew and I did some sequels to top fives, but this is our first one, man. Oh, we got some comments already. Derpy, LOL. Yes. Well, hey, this is a least anticipated video. He said Barbie better not be on y'all's list.
Yo, Derpy, we are going to go over some of the most anticipated videos we missed out on. So it might be on the most anticipated video list. It might be in the least. All I know is it's going to make for some good discussion. So if you're excited about Barbie, feel free to comment and let us know why. And if we say we're not excited about it, feel free to comment and let us know why. That's why we're glad you're here, Derpy.
Yeah.
Look at that. We even got image ready.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I'd have to be completely lying if I said that I'm not extremely curious about what this is going to be, because we still don't know what is this.
See, that's the thing, guys. If you weren't here for our last video, first of all, thanks for and we got you. We know you're just joking, Derpy. Thanks for joining us. If you weren't able to join us last time, most anticipated does not always mean that we think it's going to be good. Most anticipated means we're not sure. We might even be leaning towards the fact that we think it's going to be shite, but we're interested in seeing because we're curious, right? Like a lot of kids these days, when they're growing up and getting their sexuality, they're curious. That's how we are with these movies.
Quad curious.
Yeah, that's right. We're one of the 52 types of curious there's out there now, or whatever.
But yeah, I'm excited about that. And then apparently they got a newer movie that they're coming out as well and together. And will this be their second one, or have they been in something else together? Because it's funny how these actors tend to stick together sometimes.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because Margot Robbie does have a piece of property that's in the news. So I think what we're going to do, guys, let's start out with a little bit of the news that's dropped since we did our last video a couple days ago. Hasn't been a ton, man. It seems for a while there was a ton of news popping off, mainly because DC is such a cluster, right, that we were getting bunches of stories every day. Not so much right now, but let's dive into it. And then this time, hopefully we'll have a lot more time to get through our most and least anticipated list of this upcoming year. So TV Time recently dropped the list of most watched shows of 2022. Bobo, you're probably looking for an image, and you won't get one because I forgot to include an image of this.
That's okay. I can try to conjure up one here in a second while you're talking.
Well, there's one reason I put this story in here, guys. So if you don't know, Bobo hates animation. He does not respect art in the least. He thinks artists are overrated. No talent hacks.
That's not true. That is not.
Despite the fact that he's an artist himself.
I love artists. I just have things that I prefer.
Yeah, he just says animation takes no skill. If I'm quoting him directly.
Not what I said.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You'll have to go back and watch our last video to find out. And you can also click that subscribe button to get notified of it.
Hell yeah.
And click that like button where you're at. Throw us a like, guys. We like you. You can like us back. So
we're likable dudes.
If you had to take a guess, even though you've already seen the list, maybe you're not looking at it right now.
No, I mean, I have the list actually available, but it's One Piece, which I never saw.
Right. So One Piece is an animation. It's a Japanese animation. In fact, One Piece, so for those of you that don't know about Japanese animation, usually Japanese animation comes from Japanese comic books, which are called mangas. And in fact, the whole reason the animation exists in the first place is to try to sell more copies of the manga. One Piece has been the highest selling manga for, I think, 20 plus years. And in fact, usually in sales, not only does it outsell the competition, it usually laps them. Now, recently there was an animation / manga that came out called Demon Slayer, which dethroned them for the first time in 20 plus years. That series unfortunately had to come to a quicker conclusion because the artist had health issues. It's a problem with this industry is these artists are often overworked, and a lot of them do get health issues. Sometimes series aren't completed because of those health issues. This one was able to complete it, but they wrapped it up a lot quicker than they wanted to. Demon Slayer, one of the greatest animations of all time, but doesn't hold a candle as far as long-term success to One Piece. One Piece topped Stranger Things. Grey's Anatomy is still on this list.
That's crazy to me. I mean, that show's like competing with like Dallas as far as dramas are concerned. It's like in the 14th or 15th season now.
Fam, I didn't even know this was still a show until a couple years ago. When they told me Grey's Anatomy was still going, I'm like, yo, good for that girl who I only know from Wedding Crashers.
I'm drawn. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. It's not Emma something. It's gone now.
It's the chick from Wedding Crashers. That's all we know her as.
No, not from Wedding Crashers. She's from Old School.
Old School. Yeah, you're right. Not Wedding Crashers. Old School. You're right. I knew it was one of those movies starring Will Ferrell. The Office, which will perpetually be. Yo, I wonder how much money The Office has lost by there being no syndication. You know, or is there syndication of The Office? I don't even know.
Oh, hell yeah. It's on Netflix. It's on, maybe it's not on Netflix anymore because it's on Peacock now, I think. It's on its native channel now on NBC's streaming platform, Peacock. You know, it's on the channel that it aired on, but it was on Netflix for a long time. It was on Hulu for a little while. And I believe it, man. It's like Friends. It's one of those ones that stands the test of time. And what's so funny is even though that's a show that stands the test of time, there's no way that it could be made today because of the content. And some of the things that they say, they would not get away with
you know, kids would be mad trying to cancel The Office these days.
But it's still gaining traction.
Yeah, House of Dragons next on the list, which I would have figured that would have been higher.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that everybody that I know that watched Game of Thrones outside of like the hardcore, like you, the hardcore people that I know, you know, watch this. But the people that I know that watch Game of Thrones haven't watched this yet.
Yeah, my brother is big on that. He's like, I don't want to give them the satisfaction because they pissed me off with season 8. And I keep telling him, like, listen, man, it's worth it. He's like, I know, I've heard, but I'm sticking to my guns. And there are a lot of people that are like that aren't giving the show a chance just because of season 8. However, it's not like the show's done. It's not like the show's hurting for viewers. It got plenty of viewers. It didn't make it into the top 2, which surprises me. And then The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is like its show in that it's a bloated zombie at this point. I don't know how this show is still alive. You should have been shot in the head a long time ago, but I don't know if that would even kill it.
Well, it was because it was the final season. That's why.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it literally did end this time around, and so I think everybody was wanting to just see. What's funny is that on the did I click that? Sorry.
No, I clicked it.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry, not that I didn't want to put it up. It just wasn't what I was talking about, so it threw me off. I was watching an advertisement for it when it was about to be coming out, and I think it was ending it later, right around the Halloween time. And the commercials for it said, no matter which part you watched, the beginning, the middle, or the end, you have to see how. And it's just like they know that people gave up on the show. They're even like they're saying it blatantly in the commercial.
Yeah, that's the problem with that style of TV and how it's kind of going away is they had to milk episodes, they had to milk seasons, and so you really get a diluted story, right? Dude, if you and I think of a good story, imagine we think of a good tight story, and then somebody comes in and they're like, all right, guys, your story is awesome. It may be one of the greatest stories of all time. By the way, could you add 600 chapters for us real quick? You know?
Yeah. I mean, and one of the greatest things about shows today and what are these newer shows that are coming out is not only do they realize that, oh, we don't have to go that long. We can go 3, 4, 5 seasons tops. Some of them are realizing all we need are 10 episodes.
Yeah.
That's it. One limited series. That's going to make a great program. And so I'm happy with the way at least that's starting to go. But Walking Dead was on the tail end because, again, it started like 15 years ago. So shows were still on TV that people were watching then.
Yeah, and Derpy, we did get your comment about the most anticipated shows. That's going to be a separate video because, you know, we got to milk content. Not to get too much into our secret sauce of what makes us successful, guys, but, you know, we need videos, ideas, and so look for that idea later. I do feel you on those shows, though, because I'm excited about Ashoka, and definitely I'm excited about Avatar, the live-action adaptation. Even though Bobo thinks all animators need to die, I think I want to try to get him to watch that that show.
The case that anybody's just watching this video for the first time, I'm always going to have to make this disclaimer. That's not what I said. Ancho loves trolling me, but it's
No,
fun.
no, you're right. That's not. He's totally joking. He just said they don't deserve to have a job. But
I don't think that any animated Spider-Man movie is ever going to be better than my favorite real live action Spider-Man movie. I'm not saying that all real life animation or real live action films are better than any animated Spider-Man film. I'm saying the best animated film thus far is definitely better than me than Into the Spider-Verse. But I love Into the Spider-Verse. It's one of the best animated films I've ever seen.
It's the best Spider-Man movie, and I would say majority of the people. I bet you know what? Let's put up that poll. We're gonna put up that poll on BrassReel and say, is Into the Spider-Verse the best Spider-Man movie? Yes or no? I guarantee you, I will win that poll.
Okay, we have to also give an alternative though. We have to give an alternative on what I think is the better live action Spider-Man movie.
Are you talking about the 70s TV show
compared to
the Japanese Spider-Man?
Japanese one? Yes, thank you. Yes. So we'll have to get on that.
Derpy agrees.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh.
Yeah. So we got one vote for you, and it is our most loyal viewer. So that does definitely weigh a lot towards you. But I would say, I would guarantee you that if we did a poll and we got enough votes, the majority of the people would agree with me. Hey, sorry, Derpy.
There is a lot of people that agree with you, but I haven't talked to everyone. So because we're going to reach.
I've talked to everyone one day. I've talked to all people.
All every person.
Yeah, on the face of this planet, all 8 billion of them, and they all agree with me. So. All right, listen, we don't want to start getting too carried away because last time
that's what happened. We lost track of time.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next item. First look of Gal Gadot in the action thriller Heart of Stone, starring Jamie Dornan. And this is interesting to me, and I gave you a picture of her, Bobo, Alia Bhatt, who is a massive Bollywood star, who's going to be doing her first crossover. Bollywood is a huge movie industry, people. I don't know if you know this, but Bollywood makes more money than Hollywood. Bollywood is a much bigger part of a very large country that's more populated than America. It's a money-making machine.
Their style is totally different, right. But it's a totally different culture. So, I mean, it's just you can't – that's what's the problem with us being in America and being, such a successful financial, whatever, economic, capitalistic, whatever – is that we do live in our own little bubble and we think that we're the best and we're the only thing. Well, it's like, no, there is a whole other most of the part of the world that's not America.
Yeah, for sure. And Bollywood's huge around the globe, right? Not just in India. Globally, their stars are huge. Alia Bhatt is a terrific actress. She's a very pretty girl.
I was about to say, look at her.
Yeah, she got her start being a pretty girl, but she has proven herself to be extremely versatile actress as well, or actor as well.
What is this? But this is an American-made film, though, right? Correct.
It is, yeah, and she speaks English fine. She can pull off English.
Well, what I'm getting at, and first off, let me just back up. Is that when you said that person? Is it Jamie Dornan? Is that a guy or a girl?
I don't know. I'd never heard of it.
Is it Jamie Dornan?
I thought I just copied it, but yeah, I may have mistyped it, so it might have been Jamie Dornan.
Well, because if it's Jamie Dornan, it's this guy.
Yeah, okay. I cut off the end when I copied it over. My bad.
Yeah, so it's Jamie Dornan is the guy from 50 Shades, but he's also the guy that was in I think Belfast. I think it was Belfast, but he got kind of well known visually with 50 Shades and that franchise, but he also is actually been recognized now and done a few things that got him on the map, that he's actually a really good actor. And so he's British. We got her from Bollywood, and then we got
Gal Gadot, who's Israeli.
Israeli, yeah. So it's like this is kind of push. I'm curious to see what the plot of this is. It's pushing like a diverse thing already. You know what I mean?
Well, she's not the first Bollywood actress to make the jump. Of course, we all know the most popular one, Priyanka Chopra, who married a Jonas brother, who was in that show Quantum. Deepika. Huh?
Who was the girl that was in Slumdog? Is she from the Bollywood community?
Yes, so she was originally, I think she was a model. She wasn't even an actress. And why I don't know why her name is escaping me, because she was like my number one crush forever.
Frida Pinto. Frida Pinto. She's awesome. But she's been in a lot of American movies.
She has. Planet of the Apes, right? She kind of went away though.
I feel like you're right, yeah.
Then there's Deepika Padukone, who is the most popular Indian actress, a beautiful girl, one of the most beautiful women on the face of the planet. And she was in the Vin Diesel X Games movie, whatever.
Triple X.
Triple X, thank you. Yeah, where he does some X Games crap, whatever it was.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
snowboarding off the side of
yeah, he
the.
was. I think it wasn't even the first one; it was the sequel. So obviously, nobody saw that movie. So she'd
The
probably still
sequel
look
had
at.
Ice Cube in it.
Yeah.
It
No,
was
actually,
there was three of them: the Vin Diesel one, the Ice Cube one, and then Vin Diesel came back for the third one.
as some of you might have seen Deepika because she walked out the World Cup right before the start of the finals.
Oh, okay.
So
That honestly, that paints a better it's like, oh, that girl.
yeah. So
No,
yeah,
but
so
this is good. I'm looking forward to anything. First off, Gal Gadot, however you say it, she's in my top. So
yeah,
it's funny we're mentioning all these girls lately in our past few streams that are in my top, but they are.
guys, we are probably gonna be starting a Patreon only episode. In fact, we need to get with Andrew and see if we want to start that this Saturday because I'm
Yeah,
down if you guys have time.
he was talking about actually coming over this Saturday and doing some stuff, so that would be good.
Okay, so and then we'll probably be able to talk about some more of that stuff on the Patreon because YouTube, we never know who's going to try to cancel us on YouTube just because we say a girl's pretty. So no offense to any of those ladies out there. We understand you're talented actresses. We'd also think you're pretty. We're
Yeah,
not saying that's the only thing you
we're
have to
not
offer.
discarding the other part. We're just giving
Yeah,
you a compliment on one side where we're also giving a compliments on the other side.
unless you're an animator, then Bobo just completely discards you.
All right, make sure that you listen to this entire podcast so you can get the full narrative.
Speaking of getting the full narrative, I saw a lot of tweets out there. So Dave Bautista thinks Drax is a silly character.
Jeez, dude. I mean, look, the
That's not
character.
exactly totally what he said, though.
So, I mean, was it taken out of context?
A little bit. Now he did say Drax is silly, but what he's saying is that first of all, he confirms he's going to leave Guardians. So maybe
He
now
did
we
that a long
know.
time ago, though. He already said that like a year or so ago.
Okay. Well, maybe now we know why Mantis and Peter Quill are screaming and crying because maybe Bautista kicks the bucket. Although, hopefully, I personally hope that they let him have a nice, happy ending. I'm not like Bobo, who in the last episode was mad Rocky didn't die. I want some characters to have a happy ending.
Yeah, I want everyone dead.
Yeah. But he said he wants to take on a variety of other roles. That's why he's leaving, and he wants to get in some more serious roles. And Drax is kind of a silly character, and I think he means that Drax is comedic, right? He's done for comedic
Sure.
purposes, right? So I don't think he meant that the character itself,
Yeah.
the basic whole character in its entirety is just silly and stupid and immature. He just says Drax is acting
Or that
silly.
he doesn't appreciate and
Right.
hasn't appreciated what the character's done for him. It's definitely okay for any, especially artists, to want to move on and move into a new creative conduit, because that's what art is. If you stay in one little space and being like, oh, this is all I create, then it becomes a job and it becomes like a factory. You're just
Right.
doing the same, but you need to keep moving forward, and if you'll see that. Even actors that aren't good at it, that are really only famous for one role, not to try to name any names, but when they try to branch out, even, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they do always try to branch out. You think The Rock's
Yeah,
gonna
I mean his whole concept or what he's trying to tell people is like, listen, he wants to be taken seriously as an actor. He doesn't want to be The Rock and just be a movie star. He's taken a couple of shots at The Rock, and he's not the only one lately. Now, guys, I apologize because I had the story link saved, and it looks like it's been taken down. But The Rock is getting more bad press lately. Bobo, did you get the story that when I sent it to you? Were you able
I
to pull it
did.
up?
Yeah, man. I even got you a nice little graphic going here.
Okay. So apparently reports were, and let's see if I can find. Do you remember what movie this was for, Bobo? Because I cannot find the tweet for some reason.
No, but I mean the tweet is right here, just saying he
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That must have been. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he pushed for producing credit on DC's League of Super Pets, but did a little promote it. And the actor also insisted on a Tequila Bar New York premiere of Black Adam, featuring his Terramana brand, despite the film being rated PG-13. I mean, listen, 13-year-old kids still have parents. Last I checked, who probably like
yeah, and
tequila.
R-rated people that are over 21 still go see comic book movies. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, listen, I really don't think this is a big deal at all. He's more than an actor. He's a brand.
He's trying to make like money, and honestly, not to just keep on bringing back the Black Adam was kind of a financial failure, but it wasn't just a massive flop. It just didn't make the money they wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, just with that in mind for him, he's trying to, keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, all these actors are just like NFL players and stuff like that. If they don't have a plan to keep moving forward somehow and don't just fully, yes, there are a handful of people that are Margot Robbies and stuff like that and Leos. That's all they have to do. But I guarantee you, they got their money in other stuff. Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg is the king of it.
Yeah. You got a limited time window to be on top in this industry or
Right.
any industry, right? So you got to take advantage and make as much money as you can. And it doesn't matter if people want to say you're selling out, fine. You'd rather sell out than be 75 and broke.
Yeah, it's better to sell out than to be forgotten completely.
Yeah.
Stay afloat. I mean, do what you have to do to be in there. And look, there was a day that when if somebody was like, okay, they started out as this, and all of a sudden, like say a musician starts off and they're super. Oh, you know what? Perfect example is 30 Seconds to Mars. Their first album was super underground. It was cutthroat, new, cool style of like metal, but it had this new, like, it wasn't electronic, but it was like this Uber vibe to it. It was hard to explain, but really badass. Cut to their second album, super studio hit, radio driven. It almost didn't sound like the same band. The only thing that really sounded the same is you could tell it was Jared Leto still singing. But
Right.
if you would have just taken the singer out of it and played those two albums back to back, again, it wasn't like, oh, these guys are kind of gradually progressing into the pop. They went really pop.
Green Day is another good example.
Mm-hmm.
Green Day was super punk underground. Then they got big, and then their lead singer, basically, he kept Green Day as his popular band, his money making band. And for his artistic fix, he started all these other underground punk bands that he would also be the lead singer of.
But he
But
also understood how to evolve Green Day into staying popular and not just keeping them making old school albums called Dookie. He
yeah,
realized that we got to convey that we're actually growing up as well a little bit too. So they make Bullet with a Bible, or a Bible and a bullet in it, or whatever it was called, like Bullet in a Bible, I think is what it was called. But and they ended up coming out with some pretty damn good songs. I mean, what's the Time of Our Lives? That's a
yeah.
great song.
Yeah, and listen, part of them realizing they have to portray that they're growing up is because in the reality they're growing up. And when Billy first started out, he was a young kid. Now all of a sudden he's a guy with kids, right? So
And he's a role model, and he and he,
yeah,
and he cares about what they think of him, and he cares
right.
about what they're going to be when they grow up. So yeah, he's got to just adapt. And the same thing, not to get off on music, but the same thing with Metallica. Like, the biggest mistake that Metallica's made for me, in my opinion, is on a musical level, is going back to this old school heavy style when they're old men. Like when they did Load and Reload, it was a very good reflection of who they were as people. And I love Load. I think Load is one of their most creative albums. Now,
God, I'm going to
Reload,
completely contradict myself because that's because I was such a hardcore early Metallica fan. You're right. I'm going to give you this. You're actually right. They did need to evolve, but I hated every second of it.
well, I didn't like Reload as much, and I hated I hated the what was the one, Saint Anger. But like
Mhm.
them when they go back to Death Magnetic and they've like, we're gonna try to be like super thrashy again. In my opinion, the reason they wrote those thrashy style songs is that they were in that part of their life. Nobody really loves writing that stuff. Like, so the new stuff that they're doing, it feels forced. It doesn't feel like this badass riff that they came up with. Load, however, if not Reload, but Load, if you listen to that, man, it's heavier than people remember. But their songwriting skills had gotten to like peak level. They understood how to really write songs. And I'm just saying that
I think Black proved that though.
Black
Like,
is awesome, dude. I
yeah,
agree.
a lot of my hardcore Metallica friends at the time, they hated Black. And Justice for All to them was Metallica's peak album, and I love And Justice for All. Actually, not so much now. I'm not really into that music now, but at the time I loved And Justice for All. But Black was super polished and just sounded great. And then when
It
you
was
went and saw them
amazing
perform it,
songwriting, though.
yeah, they performed awesome too. That was a badass concert, So
Look, those and naysayers are going to naysay. That's at the end of the day. And I understand if you feel like that Metallica was your outlet to get this thrash heavy style speed metal. But at the end of the day, I think they are musicians and artists, and you can drain something dry. You have to keep moving forward and do something new and different. Even if you're a horror movie director, you can't just direct the same style of slasher over and over and over. You have to be kind of innovative with the next horror film. You know what I mean? So
speaking of innovative with the next horror films, did you get to watch the entire trailer for
Evil
Evil
Dead?
Dead Rise? Yeah.
Hell yes,
What were
dude.
your thoughts?
Fantastic. It looks awesome. It looks gut wrenching. It looks gritty like I want it to. I think that, obviously this being sort of at the end of the teaser and at the end of the actual trailer,
Mhm.
shows you there's going to be this sort of family dynamic. But like I said, giving me the vibes of Poltergeist 3. There's a little girl. Poltergeist 3 was in a high rise, but they're also looking like they're showing a story or a flashback in like in a lake in a cabin. Maybe it's the cabin that's connected to the original cabin. I don't know, but it looks intense. The cheese grater, holy shit.
Mhm.
Um,
What about the anytime you get anything next to an eyeball, you're
dude.
automatically freaking me out.
And I guarantee you, because it's produced by the same guy who directed the last Evil Dead, the remake, which
Uh-huh.
this I'm not so sure, but this feels like it could be connected to that. I thought it was connected to the original franchise, but it feels like it might be
Well,
connected
Bruce
to the
Campbell
remake.
did the original announcement for this, so I got to feel like it's connected. Is Sam Raimi produced? Did he produce the last one?
Yeah, him and Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell both produced the remake.
Okay.
But Fede Alvarez directed it. But now
Mhm.
they're all three producing this one, and someone else is directing it. So I'm not sure what the connection is, but I know it's connected to something in the past.
Well, I will say this: horror movies are still good, but I've been saying this for a long time. I feel like they need the next evolution because it's been jump scares for the longest time.
I think that jump still scares still work, but it has to be on top of you really interested in what's going on. It can't just be a movie that's like, "Oh, oh, no, no." Like, you cannot even be waiting for a jump scare at all. You have to be true. Like, Smile did a really good job of it. Um, but I'm with you. Jordan Peele did a good job at sort
Mhm.
of escalating it. However, I'm kinda tired of that quote unquote elevated horror.
Well,
So
yeah, I'm not saying it needs to be elevated because Jordan Peele. I mean, let's be real here. He's taking horror as a bridge to social commentary. His
he
movies
is.
aren't about being horror movies; they're about being social commentary, and that's what I love about Jordan Peele. But yeah, I mean, if you gave him that criticism, he'd be like, "So what? That's not my, my
I feel
intention
like
is never to be a horror director."
I feel like Nope and Get Out work really well. I'm not the biggest fan of Us. There's a lot of holes in Us for me.
I agree. And Nope, Nope. I thought was
No,
scarier than Get Out was problematic in
it was a
that.
what if movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
and
what
then
if this is what's going on?
yeah, but Nope was actually I just the Alien. I thought they did a really good job of making the Alien terrifying.
Monster movie.
Yeah.
That was cool.
All right, guys. Well, don't worry. We're gonna stay on time. This
Yeah,
is
but
actually
Evil
good
Dead,
because
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be
yeah.
dope. I'm super excited.
So last time we left off at Creed 3. We left off at Baba wanting to kill Rocky. Um, So, speaking of moving forward, that brings us to the next movie on our most anticipated list. And once again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier. Guys, when we say most anticipated, we are not claiming that we think this is going to be a great movie. This could be an absolute train wreck. And the reason it could be an absolute train wreck is because the star of this movie is an absolute train wreck. We are talking about the Flash movie.
Jeez, dude. All right, so did you see the It movies?
Yes,
You didn't like them or you did like them? I can't remember.
I didn't like the second one. The first one started out okay with me, but honestly, the practical effects for that movie did not work for me.
Interesting. You've mentioned that a few times, and
Mhm.
I just
It took me out of
that's
the
not
movie, man.
something that really stood out to me that bothered me. Like, that's not something I remember being like when you mentioned that, I'm like, really?
Well, another thing that doesn't make the movie work is the movie is very much about the fears of children, but I'm watching it as an adult now. Well, the first time I saw the TV show, which honestly hasn't aged that well, but the first time I saw it, I was a kid, so it worked, right? It
Of
worked on
course,
that level
of
of
course.
scaring a kid. But when you're an adult, you're watching it, you're like, man, grow some balls, kid. You know
I
what I'm
don't know.
saying?
For me, I really liked what he did with It 1 and 2. 2 was too long, and I thought that at the end, it went a little crazy with the CGI, in my opinion. But, like, the stuff, like, when the girls and the old ladies in the kitchen in the apartment and Jessica Chastain's sitting in there, and then she comes out, and it's like this creepy, long old lady
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of good directed stuff from a visual perspective and horror movie perspective. I really like Andrew Machete, what he did with both of those movies. One more than two. I have complaints about two, like I said, but from what I understand, screenings have said that this is his best work yet.
Really?
That's what
Interesting.
people are saying.
Interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch it without thinking about how crazy Ezra Miller is.
It's gonna be tough, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's gonna be hard to separate that, considering specifically on what if it would have been a DUI thing, if it would have been like he
Yeah,
just can't shake the alcohol, something like. But he was kidnapping people and talking about living in another dimension and shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think this dude still has a job.
It really is. And what's interesting is, did you hear that the most recent thing? And you would know better about this because I don't know if it's been tweeted, but the rumor is now that even though Gunn wants to let go of all these other people, he wants to restart a lot of things, but he wants to keep Ezra.
What the hell, man? Are they a part of the same cult or something? Hey, you know, James Gunn did have those tweets about pedophilia, which they did seem like a joke at the time, but maybe there's something to it. I don't know. You heard it here first. If
Easy,
it comes true,
easy.
if
We're
it's
not
not
making
true,
accusations.
if it's not true, Bobo said it. If it is true, you heard it here first from me. Just remember that golden rule.
James, I love you. If you've seen Romeo and Juliet, you'd realize that he's definitely had some fucked up cinema moments.
By the way, I totally forgot about that news story. The kids from Romeo and Juliet, who are now 77 years old, but were 15 and 16 at the time. Did you hear about this?
No.
So the actors of Romeo and Juliet, the version that came out in the 70s, were 15 and 16 at the time. They were nude for that movie. There was the guy showed his bare bottom, and the girl who was 15 years old showed her bare breasts. And you know, California's basically done now what you could basically say is the Bill Cosby law, to where they've temporarily taken away the statute of limitations for people to sue for sexual assault or harassment. And so they've filed a lawsuit against, I believe
I'm
it was
not
Columbia.
at the top of the pudding.
Yeah, yeah. They basically, I believe it was Columbia Pictures. They filed a lawsuit saying that they were pressured into doing the nudity. That when they originally signed on, they were told there would be no nudity, and then the director said, "Hey, we need it for the film, but don't worry, we're going to have the cameras set up to where people won't be able to see anything." And then they went and saw the movie and found out that the people could, in fact, see everything. And so now they've turned around and sued.
Why I'm curious about is why is it not that they're
Well,
wrong?
the statute of limitations had originally expired.
That's what I'm
When
saying.
they,
Why now? Why didn't it? Why wasn't it when it expired?
well, because they were in the industry still. This was back in the 70s, man. They probably weren't trying to ruffle
No, no,
any
no. But
feathers.
I'm saying, but like it's been kind of like I'm just curious. Is that they're really old? I would have thought that like when they were in their 50s, 60s or something, they may have
Well,
just.
they couldn't because the statute of limitations was so it wouldn't nothing would have happened.
When did the statute?
They just recently passed the Bill Cosby law, so now you can go back
I got you.
on a situation that happened 30 years ago and file a lawsuit.
I got
Right?
you. I thought that you were saying the statute. Never mind. I
No. Yeah,
point.
before I mean, they still could have said something publicly, but I guess they figured we're not going to get anything from it. It's not worth it, or they could be lying. I don't know, right? I wasn't there, but um,
Well, they
if
were
they are,
15. I mean, that's there. There you go. That's
yeah,
all you need to.
right, exactly. So yeah, sorry,
It's
that's
wrong.
going back a little bit, but that was a huge story we forgot to touch on. We probably
Well,
should have
when
touched
you're
on.
talking about this maniac,
Yeah,
you gotta bring up some other real life stories that are current.
yeah.
But
So,
I am still excited about this, and it's one of those ones like Barbie. Like I have to see it.
dude, DC has been such a train wreck. I don't know if I'm excited about this movie. I mean, I'm honestly the reason I put it in most anticipated is because I just want to see if Urza does anything crazy before the movie drops. You know?
Okay, check this out. What are the chances? This is this. Let's get a over and under percentage on this one.
Okay.
What are the chances that Ezra, the movie comes out, it's a success. He goes off the rails partying with his success because he loses he pulls a James Cameron where he starts flaring up again.
Yeah, yeah. And then they have to cast Jake Gyllenhaal as the Flash, just like in
Right?
the
Like he
just
replaced
like an Entourage. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That
I
would be
think
hilarious.
they like in real life they were going to do it for Spider-Man. They did it on the show Entourage for Aquaman, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then so that'd be funny if it actually came back again. God
yeah.
dang it, Ezra. Why can't you just be normal, dude? Like again, I'm not saying
I
that
mean,
you
come on. Look at there's nothing about that dude when you see him on camera that makes you think that this dude was normal. Like this, I don't understand how this surprises people.
well, he's got a good look. He started a lot younger when he was way younger, but again, he did have a good look. But then he started doing not that there's anything wrong with anybody making choices in their life, but then he just started switching, the gender thing, and then he started really getting into cult stuff. Then he started living on compounds with children walking around, and they apparently there was like live ammunition laying around with guns laying around on these like on this land that he lived on. This was all
Yeah.
part of that story of him getting that girl and then taking that girl.
That Native
Apparently,
American
he had
girl.
been grooming her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, okay, look, that's too weird. All that's too weird. There's too many red flags.
Yeah. 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 The only thing that would make it worse, in Bob's opinion, is if he was also an animator. But
If he was an animator, he'd be out. Get out, you know. But look, I do. What do you think about that suit?
I mean, it looks tight. But I didn't like his version of the Flash. I hated that ultra geeky Flash. I think I was gonna make that. We were gonna talk about a movie later, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves. So I'm gonna save this point for then. So don't remember to remind me of that when we talk about that movie.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't like his version of the Flash they wrote. I thought the writers made a lot of bad choices in writing that character, and nothing about that character in Washington Justice League made me think, man, I want to see a movie starring this guy. I want 2.5 hours of this guy on
Well,
my screen.
it was also a part of Snyder trying to build his world at the time. Which, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
what's up with the in Batman versus Superman when Ben Affleck as Batman or as Bruce is saving everybody in that opening scene where he's watching Zod and Superman fight, you know, and he saves a little girl, but he saves the guy in the wheelchair, the one that ends up blowing up the bomb
Scoot
inside.
McNairy.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Good job. I know his name, but I was drawing a blank on it. I thought that Zack Snyder was trying to like put some sort of spin on the fact that he was losing his legs, but he was like, well, he was like, what do they call you, Wally? Like, and Bruce says that and calls him Wally, like it's Wally West. But they were trying to put some spin on it, like he didn't have legs. But then when you see like Barry coming in through the other dimension and save us, Bruce, save us. And then I was hearing they were making a Flashpoint movie. I don't know. I thought that they were trying to say that in another universe, this is going to become the Wally West Flash.
Who knows, man? Snyder was all over the place. Snyder has always struck.
Bruce says, "What do they call you, Wally?" It's like,
yeah, Snyder needs to lay off the Adderall sometimes. You know, he'd be popping too much Addies, I think.
Man, I don't know if you saw Army of the Dead, but whoa.
No, I couldn't watch. I have a. His movies are so gorgeous visually, except for the slow motion. He overdoes the slow motion. Like, stop with the slow. We need to do a video about filmmakers who have bad habits or problems, or there's probably a more creative way to phrase that it's funny. But you got what's his face with a lens flare.
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams, thank you. And then you got Zack Snyder with a slow mo. It's like, stop, guys, stop. You don't need it that much, okay?
Yeah. And then, well, Michael Bay, his famous one was the camera from the low angle spinning around you while the person's turned around.
Michael Bay's also got that other problem. What's it? I think the correct term is blatant racism in his movies.
Yes, yeah. When he made the Tokyo Drift twins and Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah. Or the gangster robot twins.
That's what I'm saying. That's right. Because of their cars.
Yeah,
the cars were. That's what I call them, the Tokyo Drift twins.
Yeah, he's horrible with that.
Yeah.
So speaking of cars and action, the next movie on our most anticipated list that I have written down, and I could have done a way better transition than I just did, so apologies. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Oh boy. And did we have a graphic for that one yesterday? Oh yeah, we do. My fault.
Mm-hmm. That's all good. Listen, wait, Tom looks old as hell in this picture. I just noticed that.
Well, okay, this is not a side note, but let's stop on the
Top Gun.
Did you see the picture of him? Top Gun, he looks fine in.
But before Top Gun, he did a message to the audience. Did he do that in the version you saw?
Where he's like in a 3-piece suit and he's like sitting down and he's kind of looking up and his face looked like it's about to blow up.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was very strange. I don't know what to think about.
I mean, he's an older guy. He's looked so good for his age for so long. That's why it's jarring. I mean, how old is he? He's close to 60 now, right?
Yeah, definitely. I would say he's definitely close to 60, if not already there. What I'm saying is that this looks like it was sort of like the come down period for whatever procedure he had done when he put out that post on social media. Because when he put out that post, it was like, it looked like he had work done. You know what I mean? Like
He
this
could
looks
have.
like the come down from it, but yeah, I mean, but I also have seen recent posts with him where he looks fine.
Hmm.
So
Maybe the,
I don't know what's up. But I mean, again, not to be judgmental, Tom. This is another thing. You got some crazy ways that you live with the Scientology stuff. That's all been kind of
yeah,
wild.
maybe. Hey, this is Urza Miller's blueprint for a comeback because there was a time where Tom, it seemed like he was done. Definitely, there were definitely some people also in the industry that wanted to see him get done. I think he pissed some people off, some powerful people off, and so they helped kind of push the agenda of him being a crazy Scientologist. And he is a crazy Scientologist, so he
But
didn't
he's
help.
toned down as far as
Yeah.
his talk about all that. He's just been kind of doing his movies and showing like, oh look, I skydive on my free time.
How funny is it when you go back and watch that interview with him and Matt Lauer? Matt Lauer's just fucking smug as hell. You know?
Knowing what we know about Matt Lauer
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just totally talking down to. And listen, I at the time I thought Tom Cruise was an idiot because I have friends that are psychiatrists and doctors, but he is right. There's definitely people that are overprescribed. Now we know about the opium pandemic and how that was all opium was
He
all
went
earned.
about it the wrong way and used the wrong things within that statement. The way the guy,
Also, I don't think we knew as much as we do now. There was definitely parts of that message that you go back and look at and you're like, okay, you know what? He had a point there. In retrospect, he was kind of not about everything,
not
but
about
about certain.
everything, but the point he was trying to make was valid. He just said a lot of other things that didn't need to be said.
Yeah, and he
And
was
they were wrong.
so
The postpartum
weird about his
depression
message.
thing, and but look, what I was going to say is that take the Scientology out of it, all that his personal life aside. I not saying that one to three of them don't exist, but it's hard pressed to find a bad Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, there are definitely those out there, but he has been on a heater.
Like
Like the
it's
for
really hard to find. Again, like Valkyrie wasn't bad, but it was okay.
I'm here to kill
Night and
Hitler.
Day, okay.
Yeah.
You
I
know, it
don't
was,
yeah, I
and
don't
the Mummy, the Mummy is the other one where I was like, eh. But
yeah.
other than those, I think most of his movies are good.
Edge of Tomorrow was very good, although
I
not
love
as good as the manga, but it was definitely very good.
Oblivion was good.
Oblivion was good, and all the Mission Impossibles have been fire, dog. This
Yes.
guy keeps trying to kill himself for our entertainment. It's impressive.
So
You
I
know,
love part 2 as well, by the way. A lot of people hate it, but I love it for John Woo. And
such a terrible movie.
how much you
Trash.
you just said all of them have been fire.
All the ones lately have been fire.
Okay.
Mission Impossible 2 was trash,
It's
son.
awesome. Hans Zimmer does the music for that, but how much you want to bet Hans Zimmer is coming back for these last 2 mission movies?
I don't want to bet that. I think that's a sucker bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an idiot if you bet
Yeah.
against.
Yeah, definitely Hans Zimmer's coming back for these. I'm excited to see this, man, because
I
it's
am
gonna be
too, dude.
some crazy stunts. Looks like the love interest is staying the same. You know,
Rebecca Ferguson.
yeah, for she doing this and Dune,
I
like we were
love
talking
her
about.
because she's one of those girls that like looks like every girl you know, but also a girl you've never met before. She's like
Yeah,
exotic and familiar all at the same time.
yeah, they have good chemistry too. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to see it, man. We're probably gonna do some reactions on the trailers because they're gonna probably tease some crazy stunts. There's
Dude,
gonna
how
be
about
some
old
crazy stunts.
Ving?
Now
Still
this one,
in there.
now this is a part one though, so you know what that probably means.
He's gonna die.
Well, probably not die, but there's definitely something's gonna happen.
Who's a double agent? You think Simon or him? Because Simon's been in it since what, part 3?
I
Is
think
that right?
Simon dies.
Or was Simon started part 3 or started part 4? I
I
can't
thought
remember.
part 3.
Jeremy Renner's who came in part 4, right?
Yeah.
I have to restart again, but either way, it basically Ving Rhames has been in it the longest with Tom, obviously, and then Simon's been the second longest.
I can see Jeremy Renner's character, who, by the way, another news item we forgot. Jeremy Renner did make a statement. He's up and
Yeah, he's doing good, but he doesn't look so hot.
no, he doesn't. Yeah, but he's
No brain
you see
cancer.
the Huggies right there? I just now noticed that there's a packet of Huggies.
Oh yeah, I wonder if oh poor guy.
Uh,
I bet you there's a baby in the room. Hopefully,
hopefully,
yeah.
but
But that is interesting that there's a packet. I'm not laughing. It's just you brought it up. So
yeah, yeah.
but hey,
Yeah,
no, I'm glad you're doing good, Jeremy. And hey, that's awesome that you were actually being like Hawkeye in a way. You were trying to help out your neighbor get out of some snow. So
yeah.
good on you, man, for trying to do the good deed. I hope that
No,
comes.
two good pieces of news because Damar Hamlin is also responsive and he's still in critical condition, but stable condition. So
Yeah, it's more of now it's a monitoring type condition
Yeah.
because it was a massive heart failure, you know?
Yeah. So two good pieces of news the last couple
Hell
of
yeah.
days.
Hell yeah. Nice to report news that doesn't involve death.
Yeah. But Mission Possible Dead Reckoning Part 1 probably ending in death. So guys, we'll take some comments down below. Start taking some bets. Let's start a pool on who's going to be the person to die. Probably not Tom Cruise, if I'm just going to be honest with you, but we'll see because it's got to end with someone that slaps, and nothing slaps like death, or maybe they just lose. You know?
Well, okay, so first off, I own them all. I love them. I can't remember because Michelle Moynihan is his wife, but
Mhm.
I can't remember. Does she? I
She gets
know.
remarried.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
And
it's the last one.
he meets up with her in the last one. She
Yeah,
helps him, and then she goes her separate
I
way.
think she's going to be in this one too, if I remember correctly.
Okay, okay,
So
that's
she
cool.
may
I was
die.
just drawing a blank on her, but you refreshed it for me. Thank you.
I hope they don't do. I hope they don't refrigerate his ex. His ex. I think
You
that's
don't,
just cliche.
yeah, you don't think now? What about this? I would love if what's her name from part two came back, Thandie
That's.
Newton.
I don't remember anything about part two. Which one was
She was
part
the
two?
love interest.
Yeah, who directed it? I don't even know. The movie didn't even exist. I don't think.
So,
I think it's a myth.
anyways, moving on. Dead Reckoning 1, I'm looking forward to it. I can't remember if part 2 is gonna come out the next year or the year after it, but definitely looking forward to
I
it.
don't think that movie will bomb. But this next movie, speaking of bombs, will be about a bomb, even if it does well, right? Because we're talking about Oppenheimer, the
Yeah,
father of the A bomb. Look at that poster. That poster's fire, literally, huh?
well, it's gonna be a visual masterpiece. There's no question about that. I know it will be because Dunkirk, that's the only thing it had going for it. The difference between this and Dunkirk is this is sort of a Dunkirk was a monumental event, but this is a monumental, like, event in, like, humanity. You know what I mean?
Dunkirk, for a lot of us here stateside, Dunkirk is something we had to learn about. We don't learn a lot about that battle. Overseas in England, that's a very, very big moment in history. But for us stateside here, we don't know about it. I don't think there's anybody in the world that doesn't know who Oppenheimer is, who the Manhattan Project is. I mean, that changed
Right.
the course of history for
That's what
the
I'm saying.
entire
That's a
world.
humanity wild
Yeah.
like known situation. So like I think that there's more of an interesting story for me. And
Mhm.
again, not to dog on, like you said, Dunkirk. I know that's an important battle for
No,
people that
Dunkirk was not good. I was gonna say it's trash. It's not trash,
it's
but it
just
definitely
it's
was.
my least favorite Nolan film.
Yeah, Nolan was skyrocketing up my list to where I was like, damn, for me, my favorite filmmaker, as we discussed here, of all time, is why is his name escaping me? Space Odyssey. God,
Kubrick.
Kubrick. Thank you, God. This guy's getting older. Is not fun.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick is my
Not
because
that
I
great.
don't think there's a Stanley Kubrick movie that he finished start to finish that I think is a bad movie. I think they're all masterpieces. And Christopher Nolan was approaching that territory until Dunkirk. Dunkirk was the first time that I watched one of his movies. I was like, listen, it's not bad, but it's not great.
I wasn't blown away about Tenet.
Yeah, and I didn't even watch Tenet because I
Worth
started getting that
watching.
feedback.
It's worth watching, but it's a movie that like even 8 or 9 times you're like, okay, I've watched this 2.5 hour movie multiple times. I've tried to think about it a few hours after every time. I've tried to think about it a little bit going in. It's like, what the hell is this movie trying to say? What is it? Like, you know how
Mhm.
memento,
Memento.
you could go back and forth kind of with that sort of, okay, so he tattoos himself and then, oh, the memory. So the first thing we saw in the movie is actually the ending, but it's the ending is
Yeah.
you have this whole like meet in the middle moment. All that's great. You get it. It's complicated, but you get it. Tenet, I'm talking after hours of bandwidth and multiple times of viewing, I'm not sure that I understand it.
Well, we'll have to go
That's
into that
not that's
sometime.
just not me either, dude. That's everyone.
Yeah, I know for sure, for sure. We'll have to go to that some other time, but we're running up on 50 minutes, so we
You're
still
right.
got to get through a couple movies here. We can move past these next couples because this next one honestly should have been on the TV list, but sometimes we just make it up as we go, right? Marvels, starring Captain Marvel.
Oosh. Now, is this gonna be a show and not a movie now?
I think it is. I think it's going to be Disney Plus show.
Boo.
In fact, it says in the top right hand corner, Disney Plus.
I see that. That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably discuss this a little bit more when we talk about TV shows, so we can kind of move on. But we'll see. I mean, listen, Miss Marvel. A lot of people said a lot of positive things about that show. So maybe it'll surprise us, right?
I like Miss Marvel, but I mean, I just the fact that they're taking this with all three of these characters right here and going straight to Disney Plus with the I don't know, I did boo.
Well, speaking of Disney disappointments, the next director was a part of the biggest Disney disappointment here that we're going to discuss. But this movie might be a little bit more in his wheelhouse. And also keeping with the Marvel tie-in, it's starring Magneto. Next Goal Wins, directed by Taika Waititi, starring Michael Fassbender. Yeah, I threw that in there for you because I thought it was dope.
Yeah,
Look at that.
that is awesome. Magneto's the bomb. But yeah, here's the pick though.
Yeah. It's a movie about soccer, guys, and I know Americans love nothing more than soccer, as the rest of us like to call it, football.
Well, Americans love to tell people they love soccer right now.
Yeah, they do. They also love to chant "It's called soccer" during the World Cup. That was hilarious to me.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
idiots, dude. It's like, what are you trying to do?
listen, one of my favorite movies of all time is Shaolin Soccer. So
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
do you know who Stephen Chow is?
I do.
Yeah, it's his first movie that he got famous for.
I'll have to see it.
Yeah, it's great. It's hilarious. Now it's about 15 years old now. It's just stand the test of time. I don't know, but it was a banger. It was fire back in the day, and so maybe Taika can do something similar with Next Goal Wins. I'm interested to see what he has to do with it. Speaking of movies I'm interested in, although I think this one is probably gonna be hot garbage because it's directed by Sony. Craven the Hunter, starring the soon-to-be James Bond.
Which I love this guy. I got to say that I'm slowly developing a little bit of man crush on Aaron Taylor.
He's the coolest dude. He's the coolest dude, right?
Yeah.
But this movie, let's be honest, this movie's probably gonna suck balls.
Yeah. Just dude, if anybody's seen Morbius, I mean, come on. That's all you got. That's all you have to say right
Sony
there.
can't figure it out. Avi already can't figure it out unless they're giving, unless it's animated.
Well, you're right, but no, look, I think that for me, the Spider-Man movies, Homecoming was like perfect for an MCU Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Far From Home was really good, but it felt kind of more like a segue movie, a part two. No Way Home is my least favorite of the three, but I still think they're all three great.
Yeah, none of them are as good as Into the Spider-Verse, though, but that's neither here nor there.
I would say that I think Into the Spider-Verse and Homecoming, it's a toss-up for me between those two. I would say Into the Spider-Verse is better than Far From Home, and it's better than No Way Home. I do. I think that.
You're lucky we're running low on time. I would have done another Shogun Showdown, but we're
hey, dude, look at this. Look at this right here. This is what's going on. This is what's happening in the moment right here. So
that what that reminds me of? What was that movie where Bruce Lee fought Chuck Norris? That's what that image reminds me of. Because I kind of look a little bit Bruce Lee.
Enter the Dragon?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Enter the Dragon. You fight Chuck Norris. It was Return of the.
It
was called Return of the Dragon.
Yeah, my
Here,
fault.
stateside. I don't think that's the actual name. It was in China, though. So the next movie we have on our list is a remake. We're going to be touching on a couple of remakes here. A remake of a movie that is the bread and butter of my man Bobo, or a type of movie, I should say, that's the bread and butter of my man Bobo, The Exorcist. There's going to be a remake of The Exorcist. Don't know a lot about this movie yet.
I do. And look, first off, I love The Exorcist. Still holds up, actually. A lot of people say it's the scariest movie ever made. I don't know if it's the scariest movie ever made. Maybe at the time it was, but I think scary movies have been made since. One thing that's got me super interested in this, but also a little worried, is that David Gordon Green is helming it. And he's the guy who helmed the recent Halloween movies.
Oh, God, that last one was freaking trash, dude.
So we're going to move past that because we don't have the time. I disagree, but I don't think it's
so bad.
I disagree, but why
does anybody understand me? I'm so misunderstood. Now I'm going to kill people. Give me a break. God damn it.
So that's not what the movie was. You obviously didn't catch what they were trying to convey between Michael and him, but I don't want someone to get typecast and just to be revitalizing franchises. You know what I mean? Like I don't want, because David Gordon Green has done some great stuff with Eastbound and Down, with The Righteous Gemstones that's currently on HBO, with Vice Principals. I mean, he's done some other movies. I think.
All the ones that you just mentioned that are good, that are not horror movies, though.
No, you're right. But even then, I mean, Halloween Ends was polarizing. I'll give you that. It was. And it was not what I even expected, but I still think it gets a bad rap and it's misunderstood. It did throw people for a loop.
Like the lead character is misunderstood?
Oh, listen, I've watched it multiple times. At first I was a little confused, but I've watched it multiple times. Point I'm trying to make is that He still did the 2018 one, which people loved. 2000 the Halloween Kills. Most people really like that one. Some people don't, but I loved it. He's a good director. I'm just not sure I want him to get pigeonholed into this remaking horror franchises
All
or
right. Well,
revitalizing horror franchises.
we're going to stick with the Halloween theme here because this next movie is based on Agatha Christie's Halloween Party, featuring her longtime protagonist, Hercule Poirot. This time it's going to be played by Kenneth Branagh. The name of the movie, A Haunting in Venice.
So I think you sent me a picture of the Death on the Nile.
I did, yeah, because
Okay.
Hercule Poirot was in it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But because I couldn't find any movies, images of A Haunting in Venice, kids. So sorry about that. But yeah, okay. So once again, I read a lot of Agatha Christie growing up because we were forced to read Agatha Christie. I just don't know how this is going to translate. It's got a good cast, but it's based on material that frankly is older material that has been approved upon since. So I'll be interested to see what the early reviews of this are. And that will be the cause for either my excitement of it or my reason not to see it at all.
I feel like they're gonna make this third one, then that'll be it. They'll make a trilogy of these Agatha Christie movies that Kenneth Branagh's directed and starred in, and that'll be it. Orient on the Murder on the Orient didn't get the best reviews. Death on the Nile, I saw it. While there's some awesome visual cinematography in it is beautiful. There's some really beautiful set pieces at moments. But there's a lot of times where it's just who is this? Oh, what is that going on? And it just kind of is slow, and it just I'm not excited to go see these movies.
Maybe they should have just done Hercule Poirot like they did Sherlock with the TV show. Because that TV show, that was a definition of a junk food TV show, and that it was so good even though it was so bad, you know?
I never saw it, but I do.
Oh my God, you gotta watch that show. The first couple of seasons are magnificent. And even then, like I said, like you watch the show and you're like, okay, I should hate this, but it's awesome. You know?
Well, no, I'll check it out at some point, I'm sure.
It's only 3 episodes per season. Now they're longer episodes. They're like an hour and a half per episode. But
still, that's way better than like 6-7 seasons or like Doctor Who, which is like a ton now.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, Agatha Christie, any of that stuff, like I think Kenneth Branagh is a great director and writer. I just don't care about those movies.
Okay, well, let's go into the next movie because I know we might have some things to say about this one. Dune Part 2 is coming out next year. And let me tell you, Bobo had some hot sports opinions on Dune. Was not the biggest fan of the movie. Zendaya is going to be featured in this movie. We'll see if she actually has a real role this time.
I think she is. I think she's going to be the focal point of the film, to be honest. Not like the focal point of like Chalamet. He's the focal point, but she's going to be like it'll be those two, I think. I just think that for what this is, the way it was announced, for what I know that Denis can do, I felt like something was missing from it. That's all the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into this a little bit more when we talk about our one of our movies on our least anticipated. Chalamet's got to be careful here because he's the it guy in Hollywood, but Hollywood has failed time and time again to make a bankable star like we grew up with in the 80s. You know, there's no Mel Gibson, Tom Cruise.
I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to do now, man. I mean,
maybe it's impossible, but what doesn't make it easier is when you take trash roles like Bones and all, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that that movie got enough critical response from certain people to where it's going to like coast its way. Not that I'm saying that I thought
there are people online that defend the hell out of that movie.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's going to coast its way fine. I don't think that's going to hurt his career is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know, I like to term those people as lonely. They're lonely people with no friends. If you like that movie, listen, there are phone numbers you can call that will help you out.
Hey, Megan was way better. Megan was a way better horror film.
Was it good? Because it's actually gotten decent reviews.
Yeah, it was good. I have a couple of complaints, but they're nitpicks, and one of them is that it was PG-13 and not R. You know what I mean? That kind of nitpick. But Megan was a badass, very entertaining to watch her. Just to not get into that, but it was basically iRobot meets Chucky meets Terminator.
Okay, hey, Blumhouse, you know they know what they're doing sometimes. So let's stick with that theme. Let's go to the next movie on this list, Barbie. Now, Derpy is no longer with us, it seems, but he asked for it. We delivered. Yeah, this movie is either going to be great or it's going to be terrible. There's going to be no in between with this movie. I'm making that prediction right now.
Oh, it'll be either like this. I can't believe this works, but it's so much fun and entertaining to watch, or it's going to be like Cats.
Yeah, and listen, they're going the musical route. It seems like if you watch the teaser trailer,
Oh,
we
here
see
we
Semi Lumu in there dancing away like he's in Greece.
Yeah, and he looks
So
cool. I mean, Devin looks cool in it. And I like that dude. He was great, Shang-Chi.
sorry,
Uh,
I had to block our.
block
We were
him. No, I
getting.
saw it coming in. We're getting them porn texts coming in again.
Yeah, sorry, I
It-
had to block
Hey,
those
at least
guys.
it's happening towards the end now, and not like the whole time
Oh
like
my
last
god,
time.
yeah, we had so many. Now hey, we just learned how to block them, guys. So you won't have to deal with that as much anymore. We'll at least get rid of
Stop
them.
sending us that.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of move it forward here. This next one I'm really interested in because let me tell you something. Whenever it comes to movies like this, you had me at Dracula. All right. I love Dracula growing up. We got another image here, a newer image if you want to look for that one if you
No,
downloaded
yeah,
that
I'm
one.
bringing it up. I just wanted to bring this up for a second.
Yeah, if you don't recognize Homeboy, that's Nicolas Cage. And the new movie we're talking about is The Book of Renfield, A Gospel of Dracula. I love how Nick Cage just leaned in his crazy. You know? He just embraced it. He knows he's a maniac and he's like, well, I'm just going to be me on film. And it's been so entertaining. Even though I thought Mandy was trash.
You're just trashing all these movies that I like, man.
Man, what I listen, I've never met anybody that liked Mandy that didn't come with the caveat. Well, listen, you got to do a lot of drugs first.
No, dude, Mandy's just a crazy ride to watch Nicolas Cage be
It's not
Nicolas.
crazy. That's the thing is, I kept waiting. I'm watching it with my old co-host Cleasy. Him and I are watching it at his house, and we kept elbowing each other. Like, here it comes. Here's where it's about to get crazy, and then nothing would happen. And then we sit there, we're
No,
like, all right, it's going to happen later, though, right? Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I
No, here
think
it goes. Oh, it's about to crazy.
you hyped it up too much. You're a hater. You're a hater. I'm
That movie
telling you,
was
that movie has a
garbage.
cult following, dude. And I'm
Listen,
one of the
man.
people. I own it on Blu-ray.
Listen, I've taken dumps that are more entertaining than that movie. Okay,
Then
like
hey, if that's how you gauge things,
that movie was awful. Don't go watch Mandy unless you like doing a lot of drugs. Then you can
hey,
watch Mandy.
comment at some point in this video, guys. Is Mandy shitty or is Mandy fun?
Mandy is. I think comment and then I want you to comment on how many opium pills, how many opioids you ingest per day, and I guarantee you there's some sort of correlation between the potheads, acid trippers, LSD takers, and the opioid heads, and people that like that movie. I'm just saying.
Anshul always wanted to be taking away people's sunshine.
Listen, you can do all the drugs you want to. All right, just don't tell me you like
No,
movies.
I get just as much fun out of watching this as getting to see Nick Cage go crazy in Mandy. And
Well,
he
listen, I think this movie it looks like it's going to be great. And once again, I am a Dracula stan. I love Dracula. You put Dracula in it, I'm probably going to watch it now. There are definitely those Dracula movies that I think are god awful.
Did you see
Dracula
The Invitation?
did not see The Invitation.
It's a Dracula movie.
No, I'll have to go watch it because if it's got Dracula in it, I'm going to watch it. It's just going to happen, guys. I even watched those
I didn't know
awful,
that about you.
huge Dracula guys.
Yeah,
So,
and Invitation is like a Dracula movie. Like you don't realize it until you start watching it. You know what I mean?
okay, so you just ruined it for me.
No, because you realize it very quickly, but it's
Okay.
like it's not branded on the cover. That's what I'm
Gotcha.
saying.
All right, so that's it for our most anticipated. So true to form, we put the thumbnail that was going to be least anticipated. We're getting to that hour into the podcast, but we should be able to hit these up because we don't have nearly as many on the least anticipated. Because these are movies that we're going out of our way to say, you know what, we're already predicting it's going to be trash, and most of these movies we just don't know. But let's start with our boy Timothy Chalamet and Wonka. Yeah, because that's the first thing that everybody said. Movies they want is a Wonka prequel. Like that's
Yeah,
really right up there on the list with everything else, right?
and I'm trying to get to that picture. I have it in here somewhere, but it's funny that he's like coming up in two different things right now between that and Dune, which are like major franchises. And I just first off, I don't care about this aspect that they're doing with Wonka. I don't want to see this.
Yeah,
I
who
never, I
does?
never, yeah. And again, I was already disappointed with the way they did Dune, so I'm not hugely stoked about
That's
this.
what, and that's what I'm saying. Timothy Chalamet needs to be careful here. I mean, he needs to start taking some roles that he knows people are going to like. Go out and I think that's what he thought he was going to do with Dune. But dude, anybody that's ever read or tried to read that book knows that that's some heavy material. And it's not going to be for everyone.
And there's
Don't be
multiple books.
afraid to take a Marvel role, Timothy. Right? If like You can do one for you, one for them. Don't be
Right.
afraid to take some popular roles out
Well,
there. And
I think that honestly, I think that when this gets put past to you as a script, as an option, your agent's like, "Hey, look, man, you could play Willy Wonka." It's probably like, "Yeah," but then I think that I'm not sure. Like, yes, you can't really tell until you see the product, but just by these pictures and everything, I just don't care about this.
does anybody younger than us even care about Willy Wonka?
That's
We
what I,
grew up with
yeah.
it, but I don't know if kids these days give a damn about Willy Wonka and the Oompa
Even
Loompas.
and even
Oompa
then, the
Loompa. Sorry.
Doo-ba-doo-doo. No, even then, the Willy Wonka stuff when we were growing up, part of the fun of that movie for me was, yeah, the fantasy and all that, but it was also that damn chicken scene when they're going through the tunnel and you see that chicken get its head cut off. You remember that?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
shows this weird imagery, and I remember being like, "Oh, that's," but I also
Yeah,
love
did
the
you watch that train wreck of a Charlie the Chocolate Factory starring
movie.
Johnny Depp?
Yes.
I think that was the start of the downfall of Johnny Depp. Like prior to that movie, he could do no wrong, and then after that, he gets in a relationship with Amber Heard, and then it all goes to shite. You know?
Yeah, I mean, look, that movie, it's not bad, but he's too much of a Jack Sparrow in another character.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
agreed.
saying? And it's
Mhm.
the same thing. And it's look, he's entertaining. He's definitely like, oh, look at this crazy guy. But it's like, but why do I see Jack Sparrow in it? Same thing when he did Alice in Wonderland. It's entertaining, but it's like I see Jack Sparrow in there.
Mhm. Well, let's move on to our next movie, Aquamom 2.
I'm looking forward to this. I am definitely looking forward to
No,
this.
no, no, no.
I'm
Put up
not
the
giving
correct
you the
image. You're not putting
satisfaction.
up. You're not putting up the
I'm
correct
not.
image.
I will, but I was putting this up first so we could get the name of the film
We
coming out.
need to
It's
see the
called
protagonist in
Aquaman
all her glory.
and the Lost Kingdom. Yes, he wanted me to put this up there, but
Yeah,
it's
she's
not.
the main character of the movie. She's the hero. She's the one that saves the day.
Just because someone comes in and saves the day doesn't mean they're the main character.
Well, listen, the start of the movie was about her. She started and then she finished it like a G.
So that gives you the fact, even though that Jason Momoa has way more screen time, she's
Yeah, and then what does he end up doing with that screen time? Nothing. He does nothing. All he
so
does is get in a fight with his brother and get scolded by his mother and stop fighting.
we don't need to have this same conversation every time we bring up Aquaman.
Yes, we do. It needs to be known that movie is about the mom. It's not about
I'm
Nicole. I'm Nicole Kidman. I'm doing this for you. You deserve credit as the main character of that movie.
look. Sometimes heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
I'm just saying, man. Aquaman was worthless in his own movie. That's all I'm saying. And that movie was not good. You know,
Disagree.
even if they did that ending better, that movie was not good. I'll argue that till the end of the day. But it made a lot of money, so
I disagree. I enjoy I think it's a fun ride. Not going to nominate the movie for awards, but I enjoy it. I think James Wan, but I also knew what I was expecting. I like James Wan. I like his style. I also don't think it belongs in this DCEU that they're doing, but
it's
it's fine.
crazy to me that you hate animation, but you like Aquaman.
I don't hate animation. You're saying that.
Yeah, okay, this next movie, you know what? This I originally put this on the least anticipated list, but Bobo I think did effectively talk me out of this one with two simple words, and we'll get into that. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I originally put least anticipated movies because I didn't want to see old Indiana Jones, but then Bobo said the magic words James Mangold, and I realized that you know what James Mangold, when he's allowed to do his thing, has done no wrong. So
He's a good director. And for some reason, I don't have the graphic for this, but I can put the no, not that one. Yeah, I
I
don't
may
know.
have.
I
I
don't have the
think
graphic.
I for some reason I thought you already had indie graphic. So maybe I
I
just
thought I
skipped it.
did too. Yeah, my fault. But look, you're right. Mangold, even though there are some issues with the ending of the Wolverine, I firmly believe that was Fox and not him.
Mm-hmm.
Babies being like, make the Silver Samurai
Yeah,
mask.
no. The first half of that movie is markedly better than the second half of that movie, and you can almost tell the spot where studio interference comes in because
100%.
the first half of that movie was very strong.
And when I think that the studio caught when that's everyone's complaint about it after it was released, that's when with Logan they were just like,
Well,
here,
his
let's let
story
you do your own
was
thing.
he was not going to do the movie when they started making those changes, and he made them promise to let him do a sequel his way to complete the movie.
Which is why Logan gets
Yeah.
the love and is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Mangold hopefully is going to bring something to the Indiana Jones franchise that I don't know that necessarily that we've been missing, but something that we haven't seen. Because yeah, the last one was just felt sort of like an unnecessary film. There are fun moments, but there's also god awful moments.
Well,
But
let's
I
go
do
on.
hope that he can bring some sort of I don't know, bring it back down to sort of like how the first Nightmare on Elm Street is like Freddy is scary, and even any joke that he makes is like extremely cynical. But then by the cut to part 6, he's just a comedian all over the place, and then they had to reel it back down with Wes Craven when he did New Nightmare. Like, let's bring him back down to scary Freddy. I
You,
kinda hope that that's what they do with Indiana Jones is bring it back down to, like, yes, there was humor in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but Raiders of the Lost Ark, there was real stakes that you were invested in. You know
well,
what I mean?
what's funny about Indy is it's a type of movie that's been often imitated, never duplicated, right? Nobody's ever been able to recapture the magic of Indy. The closest would be that first Tomb Raider movie starring Angelina Jolie, which was just a fun movie, right? But I mean, you would have thought that Indiana Jones would start this big trend of tomb raiding movies, archaeologists as main character type movies, and it never really panned out that way. Um, Uncharted was an example of how that nobody else has been able to do that movie. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it works. Let's kind of
I'm looking forward to it because of that.
yeah, let's kind of keep moving here because we've taken up a lot of time. I definitely want to touch on this movie.
Hey, real quick, your mic's rattling around for some reason.
Okay, does that sound better?
Yeah, it was just like something was like clicking
It was
around.
me shaking my leg because my ADD was kicking in. My bad.
Cool.
Uh, all right, so the next movie, I do want to talk about this movie because it's possibly the lamest trailer I've ever seen in my life, and I've been meaning to talk about. We haven't touched on it. Dungeons and Dragons:
Oh,
Honor Amongst Thieves.
this is one thing that we agree very much on.
So this is what I want to touch on,
Jeez.
and this is the problem with writers. Okay, ever since comic book movies have started becoming a thing, writers have started to think that being a nerd is cool. It's not. Being a nerd is not cool. Comic books have gotten cool. Being a nerd is still very much being a nerd. This movie tries to make the nerdiest of nerd pastimes, Dungeons and Dragons, seem cool, hip, and stylish. And guess what? It doesn't work. I don't care if you put Led Zeppelin Traveler song in there. I don't care if you have a joke about a loot. I don't care if you cast, one of the Chris's in there. You're not going to make Dungeons and Dragons cool. I was watching Babylon,
I'm
and
surprised he did it, to be honest with you,
yeah,
man.
this trailer for this movie came out in Babylon. The guy next to me started laughing out loud uncontrollably as this trailer started playing. And he looked at me and goes, "Sorry." I go, "No, I get it, man. Who would have thought they'd think, do you think you could pull off Dungeons and Dragons as a hip, stylish, cool property? Not
I
going to
don't
work."
I don't think that there's one sorry about that. That's Andrew. I don't think that there's one D&D fan out there that is excited about this.
No, why
One
would
real
they be?
D&D fan because first off, you know, most D&D people these days are actually older. You don't have a whole lot of kids playing D&D. You do, but not like they did in the 70s and 80s. Um,
Not even after Stranger Things.
well, yeah, but even then, it's like, didn't the
Yeah.
studio learn anything with that first movie? Nobody gave a shit about that, even when they were hoping, oh, let's go see this, and then it turned out to be terrible. This one doesn't even look good, and we have a history of a bad movie.
Yeah, I don't even know how they got the money to do this movie. I don't know why the trailer keeps playing so much. I have rarely ever seen a trailer as bad as this, and I have zero interest in seeing this.
And look, that's Captain Kirk, man. Why? It's like I just don't think that Chris Pine has to do movies like this. He just did "Don't Worry, Darling," which was awesome, and he did a great job in.
Yeah,
So it's like, I don't know. I think this was just probably an agent telling him, "Hey, do this." It could have been like he signed on for Wonder Woman and all this at the same time, and so or
let's hit the last three as one, and we can just talk about them all as one. Okay, so I've got Transformers: Ride the Beast, Fast X, Super Mario Brothers in a hodgepodge. I did have Megan on this list of least anticipated, but it looks like that kind of backfired in my face.
no,
Uh,
Megan was cool. I enjoyed Megan.
okay.
But we already talked about that. Transformers, it's one of the ones that's kind of like indie. I hope it's good. I want it to be good. I liked Bumblebee. So if they understand that we need to keep on the lines of that and not, this
The
other
Michael Bay Transformers.
bullshit, then I think that there's a chance it could be good. However,
I mean, listen, they're doing the animal Transformers Beast Wars, right? And
well,
that's
that's what this is, Rise of the
yeah,
Beast.
to me that just shows that listen, we're just trying to put more toys there.
Oh, they are, but
You
also
know?
the Beast Wars is a fan favorite for
Yeah,
some
but I mean,
reason.
is it that point in the story where you can introduce that concept and make it work? I don't think so. I think this movie shows me this movie is strictly done for commercial purposes. It's probably not going to be that good.
Well, I hope you're wrong, but I mean that I think there's a big chance that you're right.
Mhm.
But now I can't tell if this is the sequel to Bumblebee because they a while back they announced that they were doing a Bumblebee movie. They were doing like a sequel to the Bumblebee, and they were doing something continuing the Last Night stuff, like continuing on from that story,
It
like
seemed
not
to me like this was a continuation of Last Night. Now, I could be wrong.
here's the deal. So Bumblebee is a prequel to the Michael Bay movies.
Yeah, but it's so much better.
I know it is better. It is a prequel
The
to that.
Transformers look
So
better, and
this could be continuing on from some of the stuff we knew and found out and learned in Bumblebee, but it's basically like this is the sequel to Bumblebee, but also the sequel to Last Night. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So I'm hoping that they just don't try to like just clutter it up too much because they're supposed to be making like a straight up full on animated Transformers movie as well.
Well, they've got some on Netflix that are decent. Not
Oh, but
like
I mean like a movie like that's full on like what we saw at the beginning of Bumblebee when they're all on Cybertron.
oh, okay. But if it's animated, you're not going to watch it.
But no, I'm saying like
You're not even going to respect it. You're
I'm
going to think,
saying like CG animated, but
oh.
still,
Well,
still,
speaking of CG animation,
still trash animation.
Super Mario Brothers. What are your thoughts on that? Do I even need to ask? It's 3D animation.
No, I like those movies, dude. I just that has nothing to do with the conversation we were having. What the conversation we were having was is that do you like animated movies or not? It was about Spider-Man movies. I love animated movies. I cry in certain animated movies. I don't care about the Chris Pratt and who's Charlie Day playing Luigi because they're not like I don't care about any of that. The character was created from a Japanese culture, so it was already off.
Mhm.
And I think that it might be comedic, and I think that Seth Rogen playing Donkey Kong, I mean, they might can have some fun with it. So it's definitely going to be better than the one that we talked about earlier with the
I
this
don't know.
this one right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you never know, man. I don't know. I once again, I don't care about the casting either. But I just don't think nothing about that movie, that trailer I saw grabbed me as made it look good. I just didn't see anything that
Well,
was
I think
just
it's going to be a kids movie.
yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like adult. I don't expect to see Pixar quality like
Will
movie
it be about family? Because our next movie is going to be about
family.
family. Fast X. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I could give two shits about this Fast franchise at this point. I don't care what you want to do. What are you going to do with the car now? You already launched into space, so we can go back in time, like Back to the Future. What else
Dude.
can we do in the car here? This movie's not even about the cars anymore. What crazy stunts are you going to have that are going to make me care that are obviously phony? We talked about crazy stunts in Mission Impossible making the movies, but that's because there's this. He goes out of his way to do some real things for those stunts, and he
Right.
puts his life on the line.
And
These
with
are
it
just
captured on
crazy,
film,
stupid, unrealistic stunts.
CG based
Yeah.
stunts. No, and also Mission Impossible, it's kind of like in the title, it's sort of like you can sort of like in an artistic way, it's kind of fun to be like, let's make it actually an impossible thing to do. And they
Mhm.
do it on screen. So there's kind of a fun little narrative all wrapped up into the title and what you see. But with Fast and Furious, what it started out to be was not what it's become, and it's become so ridiculous that I'm just curious to see. First off, the turnout for F9 was big, but I'm curious to see what the turnout is going to be for this film and what the expectation is going to be. And is it going to be people wanting absurdity?
I mean, listen, these movies make money. That's the
That's what I'm saying.
problem. That's the problem, man. I don't understand what you people love about these movies. They're awful, awful movies, but as long as they're making checks, I can't hate, right? I
Look,
can't like.
I have a good time with a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them I really do enjoy and have some fun with. But I'm not going to sit here and say they're awesome. But they do get more and more and more and more. But now it's gotten so ridiculous to where it's like, come on, guys. Like,
Yeah, I mean, how you can tell
suspending
me that?
disbelief, being like, oh, maybe there's a 1 in a million shot that could happen. But to go on to the point to where it's just like, that would never happen. It's like it started to just not be enjoyable.
Yeah, and listen, there are certain good aspects about this movie. For example, Tyrese might be homeless if he didn't have the Fast franchise. So we at least keep getting Tyrese, being able to pay his mortgage, which is not bad. Tyrese seemed like a nice guy to me. I'm glad you can keep getting them checks.
Yeah, nice guy. Never did
Yeah,
anything to us, but Andre
Luda,
just goes in there and just slams him.
Yeah, Luda, Luda, you really were great in Crash, but you decided to keep getting checks, and hey, I can't blame you for that. Vin, we know you all about making them checks, and you tried your
He
hand at
owns
being
Fast and Furious now,
the
pretty much.
A-lister, and it didn't work out. So now you should cash those checks. All the rest of this cast,
Jeez.
like I don't think there's a single member of this cast that would work if it wasn't for Fast and Furious at this point.
Well,
Like,
but
would they get jobs without those movies?
yeah, Michelle Rodriguez would have other stuff that she would have done because
Really? She's
she's
not even the
doing
most
other
famous
stuff.
Michelle Rodriguez anymore. There's a more famous Michelle Rodriguez than her.
Who?
The Michelle Rodriguez that was in that show, that was also in some other movies lately.
Yep, yeah, you ain't got
I
it.
didn't watch that
Remember.
show, but
I don't know who you're talking about though.
well, ask the
No,
Hispanic community.
I think that she would have had a career that outside of Fast and Furious, and I think she has done some things here and there.
Like what?
Paul Walker was doing side things here and there. I mean, but they did say that they invested their lives into Fast and Furious. Look, hate on them all you want, man. I think that some of them are good. I think some of them are trash, but I don't like where it is now. I think it's done. They should have stopped making them at part 8. They should have stopped making them when Paul Walker died, honestly.
Yeah, I honestly, you're right. You're right. They haven't been good for a while, so yeah, not looking forward to this movie. I was trying to look up the other Michelle Rodriguez. Derpy is back, I think, or is that an older message? That
I
looks
think
like
it's
an
an
older
older one.
message. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we went long. We'll continue to talk about some of our most and least anticipated. We got some more days. We got TV shows. We'll probably do those next. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. So what I want you to do, I want you to check us out on our social medias at Shogun Cinema, at Instagram, on and Twitter at Shogun Cinema. Check out our Patreon. We're actually probably going to do a Patreon episode this weekend, hopefully, and we'll start getting some content out on Patreon for you, patreon.com/BrassReel. Help us grow this channel. You can check us out at facebook.com/BrassReel. We are on TikTok as well. We've only got a couple of videos up, but we'll be getting more of those up soon. Of course, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification. Hit that like button. And until next time, just remember, if you're stuck doing Fast and the Furious and that franchise ends and you're thinking to yourself, my God, life has given me some lemons.
Make some hot, fresh popcorn.
We out this biatch.
Peace.